Croeso and all, everyone. Welcome back to Fearless in Devotion, the Wrexham AFC podcast, sponsored, of course, by the Fat Boar Bar and Restaurant. Great place. Everyone's in a good mood today. Much better mood. Why might that be, Andy?
Is it because we're all watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on E4 and we're remembering how great a movie it is?
Thanks for letting me know about that.
You'll have to +1 it now.
I'll +1 it now, but great film. What a win, Andy. Notts County 1-0. Needed that, didn't we? Needed that.
We did. Oh, we really did. And we needed Sutton as well. We needed a couple of... Sutton certainly was dirty. Notts County, they had their moments, but overall, I thought there was a lot of good performances in that. Arthur was brilliant. Made some fantastic saves. The back three is not the back three I would have chosen a couple of weeks ago, but it's kept a clean sheet. And I think we're getting at the stage now where we have to settle on a back three. It seems that Hayden and Tunnicliffe are either injured or out of favour. O'Connell did really well in anchoring the three. Max gets better. Really, you could see that in his outball. He really had a really good pass on him yesterday. And Will Boyle, he did fine. I mean, much maligned for parts of the season, but he's the left-sided centre-half that Parky brought in from a championship club.
And a cracking finish at Sutton.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah. I couldn't really see it from where I was the other end, but once I saw it back, I thought, yeah, it's a smart little finish, that. McLean was great. I think it was his best performance for us. I really, really worried Jody Jones against McLean. I thought it could have been a bit of a massacre, but I was wrong because Jody Jones had to swap sides in the end because he wasn't getting anything past McLean. Captain for the day, led by example, never stopped running. I've been critical of him on here sometimes.
You have many times, Andrew.
Yeah. I'm still not sure he's an absolute wing back, but credit where credit is due. He did really well yesterday. Yeah. Now, the only sort of thing I'm thinking is Mullin. He's doing Mullin type stuff, but it's just not coming off for him at the moment. I mean, the lad worked his socks off yesterday. He really did run everything down, but it seems that he's missing that 5% that makes him special. I don't know what other people think about this, but the only sort of minor downside on what was a very enjoyable afternoon, almost the perfect afternoon. I think I really enjoyed that.
Tim, you went down to Gander Green Lane, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Did you enjoy that experience? I mean, I think that summed up... Well, that was typical, wasn't it? Because it was exactly what we needed. We didn't play very well. Sutton did play quite well, actually, and had a couple of decent chances. They probably had one Stonewall penalty turned down when it was 1-1. And another one they could have had as well. If we were bottom of the league, we'd be absolutely spewing about that. But we just needed to get 3 points, didn't we? And we got it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say enjoyable was the right word, to be honest. It was a throwback to recent seasons gone by, where it's just, with the greatest respect, that not the greatest of grounds, not the greatest of surfaces, horrible journey if you're from this part of the world. But all that really matters is waking up the next day and going, oh, we won. That's the bottom. That's the long and short of it. So 7 days is a long time in football. We played Bradford off the park for most of that game and lost. Played pretty poorly at Sutton and won, and then finally got the best of both worlds against Notts. So it's kind of felt like we pressed reset after Sutton. I think that the players were hurt at Sutton, the way they performed, the heat they got from the crowd, which they'd probably not seen at that level for a long time. So. But yeah, I mean, the Sutton thing, you just got to grind it out. You're not going to win pretty every week. And, people kind of forget. This is League Two. It's not about winning pretty every week. It's just not going to happen.
Liam, what were your thoughts on the atmosphere at the game at Notts County?
I really enjoyed it. There was a chant from Notts County fans, that football in a library one, which I bloody hate. And I was just thinking, what the bloody hell are you on about? It was, I thought it was really good yesterday. There have been times...
it's hard to play football in a library.
Exactly, yeah.
Really get in the way.
Well, plus, the people who run the place are quite officious, so they're going to be getting involved in stopping that anytime soon. But, No, sometimes we've struggled a bit for atmosphere this season, but I thought it was really decent, especially sort of when you're talking about those last 7 minutes and things are a bit edgy. The worst thing would have been if the crowd had, got on their backs a little because they were pressing us back and pressing us back. But for pretty much all four sides of the ground were on their feet chanting for those last 7 minutes. I think it helped get them over the line. So yeah, I was chuffed with that. I heard there was one crowd member though who was causing a bit of trouble. He was seen drinking Copperberg on the streets of Wrexham before the game and selling fanzines, but
hang on, right? Can I first say thank you to everyone who bought the fanzine? I did actually sell out. I've got some here. They're on eBay, so if you want one, please go ahead and get them from there. But right, special offer for people. Anyone who wants to email me can have this issue 4 interview with Ollie Palmer, really good stuff in it. Can have issue 4 for free. All you need to do is cover postage. So for, say, the US, for example, I don't know, that will probably be about $8. But it's like a little thank you for everyone who supported us. So just email me with your address. I'll get one over. And if you can sort postage, you can have issue 4 for nothing.
What's your email? Great message to our... Yeah, what's your email first, Andy?
So it's Andrew Gilpin, no dot, GILPIN @hotmail.com. So nice and easy. Andrew Gilpin @hotmail.com.
And a great message to our regular readers as well. Don't buy it if we do another one. Just wait 2 years if you have it for free.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, I'm just trying to say thank you. And I've got basically there was a printing error and they gave us too many. So they're all knocking about my house. I might as well give them to people. And so, it's a freebie. Thanks for supporting us. Just cover the postage. Can be anywhere in the world, and we'll sort it.
Right. And contrary to some comments, they are not soiled. They are absolutely fine. They're not damaged in any way, are they? They're not damaged in any way.
No, they're not damaged. They're absolutely fine. Look at it. It's a premium deal. Match day at the Mice Quinn.
Excellent. There we go. Yeah.
Trumps. What a game.
Cross promotion. Right, back to Notts County, away from the from that. You mentioned McLean, Andy, and how well he played. Great finish by Fletcher again, Tim.
Yeah, no great surprise. Somebody said earlier on that he poses more of a threat than Palmer. Don't know what you guys think about that. We'll check in a minute. I think he's got 6 goals in 13, 14 appearances. Not bad. And if you compare his record with that of Luke Armstrong, who we almost got in, I think he scored once in about similar amount of games for Carlisle. So who's the real winner in all this? It's quite funny because everybody's taking the piss when we signed him, or the fan bases, and now they're all saying he's far too good for this division. So it's just an instinctive finish by somebody who's been there and done it, and that's what you get. And it was just great. A little bit lucky the way the ball fell for him, and the other 2 defenders were blindsided. They were facing the other direction, but that finish, no keeper stopping that. It's just the fact he's falling over and he volleys it and generates that much power, just insane. And there's another chance he had where he tried to head it over the goalkeeper from the edge of the 18-yard box. Just what a bonkers player. So good. He did an overhead clearance kick as well in our own half. Just insane.
Yeah, you get the impression that keeping him fit for the season, because he's not going to start and play 60, 70 minutes every game, you don't think. He may revert to a super sub role at some stage and then start again when there's rotation. But he seems pretty important at the moment to our on-field success. And maybe the last week, as you were saying, Tim, as well, a long time in football, a good reminder to us all that a lot can happen in a few days, and suddenly, we're not plummeting down the table, and it's not all doom and gloom, and we haven't got to panic, right?
Well, at this stage, prior to Tuesday's matches, we're in action, Stockport in action as a game in hand. With suddenly 3 points behind Stockport with a game in hand, we're above Crewe with 2 games in hand on them. All the results fell in our favour yesterday, which doesn't happen very often. So if obviously we'll come to predictions later, but if we can get anything from that MK Dons game, because they are flying, they're really in form, then that is a good statement of intent at this stage of the season now. It's like we've had our little wobble, Stockport having a massive wobble now, so everybody's having them.
Wobbles are fine, just getting out of the wobble, and hopefully we're out of it. So well done, everyone. Well done, all concerned. And well done to the man who we will now be featuring as an interview on this podcast. Those of you will be obviously will have seen the title and will know that we've got a big one this week. Phil Parkinson. Parkinson? I'll do that again, and I'll cut it out in the audio podcast, so only the YouTubers will see this.
Hang on, no, please. Don't say that, because I'm gonna try and edit the YouTube later, and I'm not cutting it out because it's a ball ache.
All right, fine.
That's staying in.
Phil Parkinson, and it was actually his 150th game, wasn't it, Tim? And it would be the 150th episode of the podcast were it not for a clerical error.
Yes, this is true. I mean, I knew it was upon us, so I made a few representations to the club. So very thank you to Colin and the club for giving us access to Phil, and thanks to Phil for his time. You'll enjoy it, as you'll hear soon. But yeah, I mean, 150 games, I think that includes probably friendlies and stuff as well. I tried to tally it up short notice, but whichever way you look at it, 94 wins is Notts County. Winner with Notts County's 94 wins in 150 games. Some people argue, well, it should be around that for the money spent and all this sort of jazz, but we all know it's a very different story trying to get your players to sing to the same tune week in, week out, and be as relentless as they have been. So I just think, especially in recent weeks, he's had a few pelters, which I don't think are justified. He addresses that in the pod as well, which you hear. But yeah, I just think, I mean, what he was hired to do a job. He's achieved that job, and he continues to achieve what they're setting out to do. So, I mean, how can you really have any complaints? Reece is on mute. He's done that classic thing.
Oh, I'm not editing that out either.
And on that note, let's hear from the man himself.
Sometimes records speaks for themselves. Nearly 150 games, 93 wins, 32 draws, 24 defeats, a cup final, FA Cup runs, first promotion in 20 years, a feel-good factor. But I think it's more the way this fella conducts himself. Now, I want to talk about the first time we ever spoke. Now, you won't remember this, Phil, at all, but it was about 20 years ago. I was a Cub reporter, and I was looking for a preview for the upcoming Reading Wrexham match, and a good sort of well-known sort of local reporter down there gave me your number. Yeah. I said, give this guy a ring. So I phoned you, and you were absolutely confused. Why was I phoning you? But I think this is a good metaphor for your time at Wrexham. What you did is you just gave me what I needed in the with the minimum of fuss.
That's good.
You didn't have to. But I always thought, that's a measure of the fella, really. You just went and did it with quiet efficiency, and I always respected that.
Yeah,
he's the man.
What was the score in the game?
Oh, I can't remember.
Was it at the race course?
I think it was down at the Majeski, and I think, and people might trip me up on this, I think this is where I saw Dennis Lawrence head the ball out of the Majeski.
Really?
Do you reckon that's possible?
Oof. I've never seen it happen.
Oh, it's a sort of thing you'd probably remember, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's an urban myth. Anyway, welcome the man who gives us what we need, Super Phil Parky. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good.
Right, first question, bit of a soft one. Were you always known as Parky? Is there ever been any other nicknames?
Not really, no. Parky at school. Yeah, that's it. My mum calls me Philip, though, still. But...
Yeah. Is that when you've been good or when you've been bad?
Mum and Dad call me Philip, but everyone else Phil or Parky, yeah.
Yeah, my mum calls me Andrew, but usually when I've been bad. Are you ever called Timothy, Tim?
Yes, again, like you said, when I'm usually in my mother's bad books, but there we are.
Tim, you go ahead, mate. You start.
Yeah, Phil. I mean, as we've alluded to, I mean, the whole idea of getting you on is that as far as records that we can see, closing in on 150 games in charge of Wrexham, very close to it. Does it feel like 150 games? I imagine there was points where it probably felt like a lot more. But how quick has it gone?
Yeah, it's gone quick. I mean, someone told me the other day it was coming up to 150, and I was like a bit taken aback, really. yeah, it's been a whirlwind, really. It's almost in management in general, you don't have a chance to think too much. You're just rolling on to the next game, and obviously at Wrexham in particular, because there's always so much going on, which is exciting. Yeah, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it actually since the day I came in. It's been an enjoyable experience. It's a great club. From the day I came in, there was so many characters in and around the club who've been here for years, and just enjoyed connecting with those people as much as the kind of glamour of meeting the Hollywood side of it and the documentary, but meeting the people who are the lifeblood of the club and have played such a part in keeping the club alive over a number of years, that's been just as rewarding.
Without sort of trying to put you on the spot about it, not in an unfair comparison way, but in all the clubs that you managed, is it safe to say this is the most enjoyable spell you've had, just in terms of the success, but just the lads that you've had there, the backing you've had, the support from the fans? Would that mean it's probably the most enjoyable place you've been from a managerial point of view?
I think winning makes managing enjoyable, and we've obviously had a lot of wins, a good percentage in the time I've been here. And yeah, it's been an interesting challenge really from day one, because the squad has evolved at quite a fast pace, and it needed to, because as I've said many times in the press before, the club was playing catch up, and still is in many respects, in terms of the structure of the squad and building it to where it needs to be competitive in the respective divisions. So yeah, it's been non-stop in terms of kind of like keep changing things around, improving things, and behind the scenes, because if you don't keep improving and you stand still, people go past you in football, and we're very conscious of that. So yeah, it's gone quick, but like I said, really enjoyable.
Before I sort of delve into the sort of an overview of each of the seasons, is there anything in particular in your time in charge of Wrexham so far where you can look and go, there's one thing that you've maybe particularly noticed about yourself as a person, as a character? Is there anything you think, oh, maybe I've added that to my bow, or you've brought something more to the surface that you maybe never noticed before?
I think as you get more experience as a manager, the highs of obviously not as high, but more importantly, when you get B, just not getting as low, because it does hit you hard as a manager. It doesn't matter how experienced you are when you get B. But I think I've got better over the years in moving on from defeats and setbacks quicker. You've always got to, you move on eventually, but quicker in terms of, the next day, very quickly looking at the solutions of what we've got to do next. So I think that's a key part of it. Yeah, and also just sometimes taking that step back, having a day away from the club, or just going for a walk somewhere and game of golf, and letting decisions come to you a little bit. I think that's very important. And when managers who've just got jobs ask me, what I think is important, I do think that's a very key quality to have, because if you're in the club every day, early, leave late, and it's sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, and so it's good to get a bit of time on your own and just let decisions come to you.
Before I jump into the first season, I'll throw it back to Andy, because I know he's an excitable child with lots of good questions.
Right. I want to say 3 words to you, Phil. I want to say fanny fucking footballers. Now, it's got to be quite iconic. Are you full of little sayings like that? Did you sort of keep it for the documentary, or is that sort of stuff you say all the time?
To be honest, I didn't keep anything for the documentary, because me and Steve just decided quickly that we're just going to be ourselves, because the cameras are with us all the time, and the most important thing we had to do is try and win games of football. So it's impossible to put on an act of any sort, because in the dressing room, the cameras, you almost, well, you do forget they're there, because they've been with us all the time. Yeah, listen, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you come out with things, you think the next day, what was I saying? But listen, the dressing room before a game is key. The 5-10 minutes before the lads go out, assessing the mood in the group. Half time is very important, because sometimes people think, well, team did so much better second half, you must have had a real go. And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just settling everybody down and making a couple of slight changes So you've just got to assess the mood before and at half time, and hopefully can pick up that right between myself and the rest of the staff.
Yeah, because again, the Parky enthusiasm has got to be quite well known in these circles. I mean, you're so mild mannered most of the time. Why does it flip like that? And surely that's Steve Parkin's job to be the crazy one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we just say we want to win. I think, I love winning. There's no better feeling as a manager when you work all week on the training pitch, and it comes to Saturday and you win. And sometimes emotions get the better of everybody, and it's a very passionate game. It's very competitive against every team, every manager. We always have a drink afterwards, but have I got many friends who in the opposition dugout? Not really, because it's a dog-eat-dog industry, and sometimes the passion can take over in the dressing room. Sometimes it's needed, and we'll do whatever it takes to get performance out of the lads. And
just going to Ryan and Rob, I mean, I would imagine when they were getting their leadership off the ground and you would first come in, I would imagine there was quite a bit of back and two. Are things less is there less sort of contact now? Things are in a rhythm, or are they still sort of always on the phone or DMing you just when they see certain things?
I mean, the first time I met them properly when they came over, I think it was around the Torquay game, and we had a board meeting, kind of a meeting to discuss everything. And I was surprised how engaged they were about every single player, how much they've been watching every match. And because, and since then I realised, because sometimes when you're talking to owners, you don't know how much they know about the game or individual players, but they absolutely on it on every single lad. They want to know about anything personal which goes on in the lads' lives they can help with. They're engaged in that. Do I speak to more, less than before? Probably about the same, really. Right. But the great thing about Rob and Ryan, they trust us and let me get on with my job, and obviously Sean Harvey with his job. And as I've said many times before, I think that when I initially spoke to Rob and Ryan, they said, look, we don't profess to know how to run a football club in the UK. So we're going to give people the ownership to do the job. And, people on the outside might think, well, that's what you should do, but not a lot of owners do that. They really don't. And, they've obviously have an input and want to know what's going on, but are very supportive in backing us in any decisions we make.
Phil, just going into the seasons, because we'd be here all day if we sort of psychoanalyzed them, which we'd not intending to do. But going back to that first season in charge, 4 wins, 4 draws. I think it was 2 defeats in the opening 10 games. Lost to Harrogate in the FA Cup, and then the handbrake came off in some fashion. 5-0 win. I think it was at Aldershot. 6-2 win at Kings Lynn. Was it a case of the team finding their feet under your management at that point, and then suddenly those 2 massive away wins? Was that? Did you know then this team can free score? This team can outscore the other sides?
I think at the time, we had that run where we didn't score more than 1 goal at home, didn't we? And but if you look back at those games, we actually had a lot of good chances in the games to go and build on leads. We just didn't take them, and then it becomes a little bit of thing in people's minds that we don't kill teams off. We've just won 1-0 or drawn 1-1. So I think for the confidence of the group, those wins were huge, and then we took that into the home form. So the pre-season, my first pre-season was a tough one. It really was. It was a COVID hit pre-season. We didn't have any medical team in the club at all. It was really tough for me to get to know the players, the strengths and the weaknesses. And we rolled in the season not as prepared as I would have liked. The squad wasn't really where we wanted it to be. But I felt getting to January, in a challenging position was a good achievement. And we always knew as Rob and Ryan, Sean, myself and Les, we knew that once we got to January, we needed some additions, and we were working on that as the season went on.
Neatly brings me on to my next question. Ollie Palmer came in that window. Is it fair to say sort of transformative in terms of him and Moles kind of hit the ground running as a partnership, added an extra dimension, scored on his debut against Grimsby. I mean, when he came in, and hit the ground running. That must have been a delight for you because, like you said, it sometimes takes players a bit of time to settle.
Yeah, I think obviously the first he came in on a Monday. I think we played him on the Tuesday. We looked at a lot of strikers and spent hours and hours going through the players we felt we could get. We kept going back to Ollie because I think playing for Wrexham, you have to have a certain character. One, because of the expectation, the sellout crowds, home and away, everything which goes on with the club. And we just felt Ollie fitted into the remit of what we needed at the time. That was character. Playing wise, we'd start the season. Obviously, we looked to build from the back, and some teams come and pressed us and made it difficult. And sometimes you got the ability to play over the press into a platform at the top of the pitch. And we'd brought Heidi in, who'd had injury problems, not quite done it for us. And we just felt we needed that ability that if teams were setting up with a high press, to go, okay, we'll go over that into Ollie's chest and we'll build from that. So it gave us another dimension to the team, and we really kicked on from there.
You mentioned there about characters. Much has been made, whether it's just fan talk of Parky's infamous idiot test. Some might say dickhead in brackets. Does that exist? If somebody comes in and they don't fit the bill as a person that you think might upset the dressing room, then that's kind of a no-no as far as you're concerned.
No, definitely. I've got the experience of being a manager. The occasions I've signed, the characters who don't fit in a dressing room, I've very quickly had to resolve those situations because the dressing room is key. It's absolutely key to get that balance right, and we've worked hard to do that. It's a long old season. There's a lot of travelling. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's lots of players getting left out of the team, etc. And you need the dressing room to be strong to deal with the roller coaster of a season. So, yeah, when we sign a player, me, Steve, Dave Jones, and Chris Johnson spend a lot of time ringing people who've worked with them. Obviously, I always have a sit down with the new signings to ask them questions and make sure we try and get the right people in the building to represent the club because it's a great club and to wear the Wrexham shirt, you've got to have fulfill a certain criteria.
That season, before I throw it back to Andy, he's got a few more questions on this one, but that season saw the 6-5 game versus Dover Athletic. At 5-2 down, I'm sure this has been documented somewhere. What is entering your train of thought? There still is an element of belief, but did you think it's going to take some effort to get something in at that point?
Well, it was a strange day because we went 2-0 up, didn't we, early, and you could just see, it was a sunny day. It was kind of a bit of a lethargic feel to the day that we took off the gas, and I could sense it. And at half time, I said, lads, with Dover, they're already relegated, but in the games leading up to that game, they'd had a lot of tight games. They'd almost been playing with a bit of freedom, which sometimes happens when your fate is finally sealed. At 5-2, I can honestly say, I thought if we get a goal, we've got a chance, because you just knew the momentum kick into that end in the second half. We almost kind of like just pinned teams in. And I didn't stop believing we could do it. To turn it round so late in the game was as a dramatic game as I've been involved in.
Obviously, that season ended in a way that we didn't want it to end, with the FA Trophy final defeat, and then ultimately the playoff eliminator with Grimsby. How do you, not so much as a manager but as a person, how do you deal with that sort of double disappointment, essentially, is what it was? And how do you reset? Do you just take yourself on a bit of a break? How do you unwind and try and separate yourself from that?
Yeah, I mean, the playoff game was a crushing blow because obviously the manner of the game, but we were vulnerable at the time defensively. We knew that, but we always had the ability to outscore the opposition with the players, and obviously goal threats we've got in the team. I mean, the big thing for me straight after the game, Ryan just said to me, "Look, Phil, we're going to build this squad even stronger. We know, where we've fallen short." And this was literally on the pitch after the game, and they both messaged me on their flight back, saying that, and that meant a lot to me because, it was a blow. Of course, we'd took Stockport to the wire, which I felt was a decent achievement because Stockport had been building for a long time for that season where, like I said, we were playing catch up in many respects. So yeah, we looked as a staff, we had a break. I can't remember when we met next, and we just went, look, this is what we need. We need to make sure that the strength is better, and we can't be putting players out there representing the club who we feel aren't good enough for the job. And we just made the squad stronger to withstand the challenge of the season ahead.
Phil, can I talk about the relationship with the fans? Now, when you first came in, and I know you were building a squad, and you probably, as you say about the pre-season, you probably didn't have enough time to bring in the sort of player that you wanted. So it wasn't always smooth at the start. I mean, maybe you just saw it as a job, but surely that's changed now, and there's been a flip to where you're probably. I mean, Tim will attest to this. I think probably one of the the best, most sort of revered managers we've had in quite a while. Mostly because you got us promoted. But when do you think it really flipped? And do you think the documentary helped?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think the documentary it gave people an insight into how hard we were working behind the scenes and the challenges which we faced and the emotion of the dressing rooms, because the football means a lot to the supporters, but it's the manager's job and the player's job, and it hurts so much. And I think the documentary showed how much it cares to us all and how determined we were to be successful. So to answer your question, I think it probably did. Ultimately, what helps build relationships with supporters is winning games and results and trying to make sure the team plays in a certain way which the supporters can relate to. And I think that's really key. Was
it nice to hear that first "We've got Phil Parky" chant?
Yeah, of course. It's very important. I think having a positive vibe in the ground, both home and away, for the manager and the players helps a lot. When I go watching games, which I do a lot, so I like to go to games live and I sit there and you can pick up things in the crowd, and I think this is going to be tough for this team because there's too much negativity in the stands, and it sometimes can be difficult to turn that round. So I always say to the lads, look, we're in a situation where we've got the people of Wrexham right behind us. We've got to keep it there, and we've got to look at the reasons how we've got to keep it there. And obviously, recently we've lost a few games, dipped below our standards. But it's very important that we understand that why the supporters are connected with the team individually and collectively, and we've got to make sure we keep that. And we're constantly striving for that.
This is another one about sort of flipping perceptions, really. I mean, at the start of this, everyone loved Wrexham. Everyone loved Ryan and Rob. They loved the project. Now, we've all seen it. Even though that we go away and there's full attendances and there's full stadiums, there's a lot more jealousy come in, a lot more ira come in. Can you understand that? And can you sort of realize why it's flipped a little?
Yeah, I think from my own personal point of view, that obviously the away crowds, like you rightly said, full houses, but they were in the National League. We're just up against better teams this season. Have I felt any antagonism towards us? When we turn up at away grounds or in around hotels, generally people are pro Wrexham, the ones who come and speak to me to my face anyway. So I haven't really felt that too much. But everyone wants to beat us. Now that's the key. Everybody wants to beat Wrexham. Certainly the other day, you look at that sellout crowd. There was people ringing me for tickets. Right up to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, who I knew from down south, been trying to get a ticket, can't get a ticket at Sutton. It's almost unheard of. So that's not what we've had to face. We've had to kind of like embrace it, really. And I always say to the lads that this is great. You could be turning up and playing in front of half-empty stadiums everywhere we go. It is like that cup tie atmosphere.
I mean, it's just natural of football fans to be a little bit jealous, isn't it? Just to see that, so the profile maybe.
Yeah, definitely. But I think deep down there's a lot of respect for the club because they also know that our supporters have been through a lot of heartache over the last 15, 20 years as well. So I think, people understand the story, the ones who've watched the documentary. So, of course, when the whistle blows during the game, supporters, want their team to win. But I think in general, people have enjoyed watching the documentary and following the progress of the club.
Phil, going into the second season, under you, I'm sure Andy will probably concur, but easily one of the most enjoyable and nervous seasons we've had, considering the battle with Notts County. There's so many memorable moments in that season. It'd be almost impossible to pick out some. But if you exclude the FA Cup games and the Boreham Wood title clincher, what were your most favourite and/or pivotal matches for you?
Well, obviously the Notts County one was huge, wasn't it? Obviously coming back off the defeat to Halifax, which was a strange day because we went 1-0 up, had a fantastic back in there, and it was almost as if everyone's minds were switching towards the Notts County game. And sometimes you can sense it, and things can run out of your control as a manager while the game's going on, but you could just feel that happening. But I thought that the preparation from that Friday to Monday was really good. We had a good, honest chat with the lads, worked on the training pitch, how we want to play. So the Notts County game was huge. I thought the win at Bromley was a big win for us when we went down there, because everyone knows that the pitch down there is a huge advantage. And Bromley are a decent National League team, and to go down there and win, and I think Notts dropped points that day as well, was it Barnet? So I felt that was a huge win for us. I'm trying to think. Solihull back-to-back wins were big, especially we turned them over here, and then when you beat a team heavily to go back down there, that team's always gonna be kind of better prepared, motivated to turn the tables on you, to get those back-to-back wins over the Christmas period. I thought was huge for us.
At the end of the Boreham Wood game, I think Amy Davis's the AAA video caught your enormous sigh of relief, big intake of breath.
Yeah.
We can kind of interpret it as we like, but what was it in that moment? What was it like for you then? Because that must have been a massive whirlwind of emotions: relief, elation, pride, a bit of everything.
Yeah, no, just if you go back to that week, obviously we had the Yeovil game on the Tuesday, and it's really, I can cast my mind back, and I was thinking, if we beat Yeovil, I'm confident on a one-off 90 minutes we'll get the job done. But I was concerned about the Yeovil game because I felt everybody was casting their minds to the Boreham Wood game, and I could feel it strongly. And I said to the lads on Monday, we had a big meeting with them. I said, look, lads, I'm telling you now, we've got to make sure the focus is right against Yeovil, because another team, obviously nothing to play for, etc. But I was confident that if we got that job done, and it was a one-off game, that we were good enough to win. But you never know. And obviously, from Notts' point of view, the team they'd have wanted coming here was Boreham Wood, because of the way they play. They're good, very well organised. They don't play much football. They sit off the ball. They make it difficult for you. So they're good at that. That's the kind of key element of their game. And obviously going a goal down so quickly. But just immense pride, to be honest, gents, because I think it typified what me and Steve and Jonah and the other Aidan had tried to implement in the lads about, working on what we needed to do to win, and whatever's happened in the game, just keep concentrating on that. And we kept playing and kept chipping away, and the moments came for us. And when the final whistle went, it just gives me goose pimples now just thinking about that whistle, because it was an incredible feeling. And the kind of moments after that and the hours after that are just a blur. And it's not an alcohol blur, I could assure you of that. Obviously, we had a few glasses of beer, and we had an impromptu party over the other side of the ground. But it was just a whirlwind and a blur of emotions. And seeing the faces of our supporters and the pictures of people's just sheer joy, it's something I'll never forget.
Did Steve Parkin punch you in the face in the celebration after that? I remember vividly seeing a picture of you putting your jaw back.
When the lads jumped, so I went on the pitch and jumps on me. I think it was Moles accidentally cracked me in the jaw. So for a split second, that was just hilarious. And then me and Steve just kind of got back into the dugout, and we're just watching the scenes unfold. And my wife came down from the stand, and it was was always great to share it with your family as well, because your family as a manager, followed me, as a player obviously, but as a manager, home and away, and it means a lot to them as well. So yeah, it was a very special period.
I've got some quick ones for you before I throw it back over to Andy as we kind of wind it down. A couple of quick fire ones, slightly cheeky. Barnet goalkeeper Laurie Walker, Billy Sharp, and one of your least favourite National League officials are seated with you on a table at an awards ceremony. Who do you avoid and who do you chat with the most?
Oof. I think we'd always get things out on the table and have a chat rather than avoid situations, because that's why the best way to be. So yeah, Billy was a strange night, that, because I don't know what had set Billy off. I really don't. But me and him were still arguing about 45 minutes after. Well, probably longer than that in the dressing room area. I bumped into him again, and we started having this big argument again. He was like, but listen, Billy's been a good player. Yeah, the Barnet keeper, that was it's a strange one. Yeah, and the officials. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's tough, isn't it? They've got a difficult job, but there's obviously, you've got to stand your corner, because we know that sometimes refs come here, and I feel, because it's a big crowd and the profile of the club, they sometimes try and go too much the other way. But listen, that's part and parcel dealing with that.
And Billy went on a podcast a few months ago. He said, well, why not if Wrexham come calling? Surely there's no chance, Bill. Surely. It's a big no-no. Strangest fan request you've ever had?
Blimey. I'll have to come back to that one. I'm sure something will come up, but...
I remember you telling me in lockdown you trained for a marathon. I think you ran a marathon. Who can run the furthest? Super Phil Parkinson, James Jones, or Luke Young?
Oh, blimey.
Or an unnamed player that I've not considered.
Well, to be fair, you put James McLean at the top of that list.
Really?
He's well, I mean, his running power is exceptional. He stayed at the top of his game. He's incredible the way he prepares. But James and Youngie, when we do the fitness test in the summer, obviously James McLean wasn't with us in pre-season at the start, but those two lead the way all the time. And distance covered on the pitch, as you know, and high speed running, all that correlate with wins. You've got to have a team which can cover the ground, recover quickly. The game, is more and more about athleticism, and it's very important. So, when I played, they didn't have the GPS data, but that was my game, was covering the ground. But JJ and Youngie, being phenomenal for us.
So I'm going to take that as you would definitely beat them in a marathon.
Yes. A nice way of saying it. No, I don't think I'd get anywhere near them, to be honest with you.
Andy?
Phil, we're going to finish on a quick fire round. This is sort of 5 quick fire questions we always ask all our guests. Now, from your time at Wrexham, or even your time in football, who's the most skillful player you've seen?
Matt Letizia. When I played with him at Southampton, he's a genius of a footballer. You want quick fire answers, or do you want me to explain why? Or
I mean, if you want to explain, by all means.
I was an apprentice with Matty at Southampton, and I played in the youth team with him, and we were winning 6-7-0, 8-0 every week, and he was so good. And he got the first team at 17, scored off the bench. And if anyone listening to this ever gets a chance to watch Matt Letizier's greatest goals on YouTube, watch it, because he was a phenomenal player, and he scored special goals all the time. 20 goals a season, more or less always in a team down the bottom of the Premiership. And Matty loved the easy life in Southampton. He could jump on a plane to Guernsey, where his family were from. But if he had moved to Man United or something like this, people were talking about him, around the country and possibly the world, because he was an immense talent.
Maybe this one's more for Wrexham. Who's the worst dressed? And you can put staff in this. I don't know, Humphrey Carr, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's Aidan Davison, without doubt.
It's always the keepers, isn't it?
Keepers, yeah. No, he's we go for a pint, which we do now and again to discuss the team, or he turn up in his shorts and flip flops, and it might be the middle of winter, not flip flops actually, but he'll just turn up in shorts and the most random gear, and it'd be the middle of the winter.
Right, next one. Who is the most underrated? Who doesn't really get the plaudits that they deserve?
That's a good question.
Come back to that one.
Yeah, come back to that one.
All right, this might be a bit easier.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest moaner?
Biggest moaner. Wow.
I mean, what? No,
there's always one.
Really got major moaners in the thing. I mean, Toes is great, but to class him as a moaner is a bit harsh. But he'll pick up on things for us, lapses of discipline in the dressing room, or fine, he'll come see me and say, "I think this is happening. I think that's gone a bit slack." He'll, just help us control that. So yeah, I suppose you could class that as moaning, but it's not in a negative way. He kind of does it to help us, run the dressing room.
Yeah, I think a lot of people moan about his music taste. Am I right in thinking?
Well, he puts the music on. Yeah, I think Ben. I'll just go back to underrated player. I think I'm going to go back to Toes on that one as well. And the reason is because what people don't understand, we play through Ben at the back a lot, right? And you have to have a lot of bravery to keep receiving the ball in high pressure games as well. And in all my time here, he has made mistakes like every player does. But I always say to him, just keep getting the ball, keep showing bravery to show for the ball. And he's never once on the pitch have I looked at him and thought, oh, he doesn't quite want it there. And sometimes people in the stands don't quite pick up to that. But showing bravery to make angles when people are under pressure is a huge thing. And I think that kind of element of Ben's game is probably not really like rated as highly as it should be.
No, fair enough. And last one from me. Who would you least like to fight?
I mean, I think Aidan Davison's going to be in that category again. Unfortunately, he's on our side. Yeah, I'd put Aidan on that one. Aidan's a northeast boy, and he's a tough lad, but got a heart of gold.
Phil, just one thing that has sort of, how does a lad from Chorley end up with a southern accent and playing for Southampton?
Well, no, I only lived in Chorley till about 4 or 5, and then we moved down to London, and then back up to the north, and then back to Southampton as a player. So I always had a southern accent from a young lad. Lived in the north from the age of 8 to 16. So then back to Southampton for 4 years. So
right.
Yeah,
and finally, it was Reading 2, Wrexham 0 twice that
was
season.
It? Wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember a game up here. You can look this up, gents. It was the first game of the season, and Tommy Burns was our manager, and I wasn't in the team, but I was in the stand watching it. And we'd gone pre-season to Holland and played the beautiful game in Holland, passing the ball out from the back. And we came to Wrexham against Flinney, Joey Jones' team, and they closed us down, pressed us, and upset us all over the pitch. And I remember the next day we had a meeting, and Tommy said to me, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, Gaffer, we've got out-muscled by a strong, physical League One team, and we're not ready for that. We weren't prepared for it because of the pre-season we'd had, and it was a real wake-up call. We'd signed a couple of foreign boys that year, to a Dutch goalkeeper, a Dutch centre-half, who weren't quite prepared for the intensity of the racecourse that day."
I think before we wind down, what were the mop-up questions, Andy? For me, it was the strangest fan request. Did you figure out what that was? Did you have anything weird?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure I've had plenty, but there's not one outstanding one.
Nobody's revealed.
Here's one from the 90s.
Yeah.
Blur Oasis.
Oh, Oasis I'd go for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's won a lot of hearts and minds right there. If they went already. Phil, just kind of wrapping up really. I mean, 150 games, thereabouts by the time this goes out. How do you look back on it and assess it? I mean, it's has it matched up to your expectations? Has it exceeded it? I mean, there's been for me personally, there's been a little bit of context lost in this sort of little blip that we've had, and people, like Andy said it on the pod last week, that all the wins that we've had, it almost gives like a false idea of what football is about, and we're not used to losing. And then some of the comments I've seen and read, it drives me a little bit crazy, to be honest. So
it's just natural, isn't it? It's just normal supporters that. So not that we read it, but obviously you kind of, when you lose, people get emotional. So that's part and parcel. Like I keep saying, it's just part of the course, really.
But you look back on the 3 years in charge so far with, must be like immense satisfaction and pride, because of ultimately the objective was to get out the league. We've done that. The next objective is to try and get out this league, which things are looking rather good for.
Yeah, I think I always say to the lads who we sign and as a group, the key part being in football is to come back in years to come and say you're part of something and be remembered. And the group of players, and I think myself and all the staff for the promotion will always be remembered at this club, because it's a huge season in the history of the football club. So football, obviously people want good contracts and money and et cetera, but that's to the side for me. It's about creating memories, having memories for your families, coming back and being part of something. And all these lads have been here. They've all been on a journey with us. Every one of them who comes in say to me, wow, it's better. The club's better than you explained it when you were selling us it. And that's a little bit for myself as well. Did I imagine it to go to the level it has in terms of the documentary, the popularity in America, the success we've had? And probably not, because I think for you supporters, you couldn't have imagined the profile of the club where it's gone to. I mean, when we're in the US, it was just mind blowing, really, how popular the club is over there, because of the documentary, and not just that kind of documentary, how many people were watching the games and were following and knew all about the teams and were asking me about individual matches away from home. What about this game, or what about that goal? And it really was something to behold, that how the club's profile has escalated to a different level.
Great stuff.
Good place to end it, I think.
Yeah. Thanks massively again for the time.
No problem,
Appreciate it. If you can try and sign Arthur on a 10-year deal, that'd be great.
We're trying.
There you go. That was Phil Parkinson. A massive thanks to Phil for his time. Very generous with it, wasn't he, Andy? What did you enjoy yourself, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be absolutely honest. At the start of Phil's reign, I didn't really, we had criticism of him, didn't we? Of course we did. I sort of asked that in the question, in one of the questions about the fans' reactions to him, because he doesn't change his formation much. He's quite solid in what he does. But to be honest, if you think about what he's achieved over those 2.5 years, he was in a no-win situation, really, was he? If he's dropped down to conference, if he doesn't take it up with all that money behind him, people, he might not get back in the game at the level he wants. So it was a big risk for him. I think there was a massive sigh of relief at the Boreham Wood game where he realizes he's done it and he's achieved. But he hasn't rested on his laurels. He's really pushed us on again this season, and I think we've got a great chance of going up. I think the real test for Phil is in League One, with to see how he can adapt our style of play, and I'm sure he'll give it a good go.
What happened to that part where you were going to give him a sort of tactical lesson? You said, weren't you, before the?
I had all the pepper pots ready, mate. I did. I had all of them out. I say, Phil, this is 4-3-3. Have you heard of this?
There just wasn't time, was there, Andy? You weren't intimidated or anything like that.
I needed 10 pepper pots. I've only got 8.
Tim, did you enjoy yourself?
It was very, very good. Yeah, it was just nice, because we just said prior to it, we appreciate he doesn't do many, other than press conferences and stuff. So just to kind of try and enjoy it. And obviously he's a very, very smooth operator, very savvy, knows what to say, knows what not to say, knows how to kind of like swerve a slightly cheeky stroke, maybe slightly more difficult question. I mean, we didn't throw him under the bus in any way, shape or form. But it's just, he's got charisma. you know, as well as the actual skill set to get a team over the line. He's a likable bloke, you know, and that's a big thing for us as fans. I think sometimes gets overlooked how he's united the majority of the fan base and the squad and kind of linked them seamlessly. A lot is said about Rob and Ryan and everything else, but he is kind of like the focal point of how he's kind of married both of those together, just by being honest, just by fighting for the cause. You know, whether he's not chops in with Billy Sharp, he's having a go at referee. There's something, and he's always fighting our corner. So I think that kind of shows through in the interview.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Top stuff. And remember, everyone, these are the good times. 94 wins in 150 games. Unbelievable scenes, in case any of us needed reminding. Right, time for the return of a once regular feature.
Oh, Jesus.
It is time for the Book of Okonkwo. I have no information other than that.
I've been, I would say I've been trying to practice this all day, but it's been, basically I'm going to hit you with double bubble. So we've got the really, really obviously bad one, which is there or thereabouts, and I've come up with an earworm, which might work, and that's going to be a cappella. Whilst we're on the subject of this, we're going to do another poll for you guys to post up for people to decide, because this is the result of the last one, which is about 3-4 weeks ago, and the wonderful public decided to go for my suggestion, which was All Night Long by Lionel Richie. I don't know where. I mean, you've caught me on the hop. I thought this was going to be further down the agenda, but I've got to be honest. I've got to give a little shout out to Gareth Collins at Gareth L Collins on Twitter /X for giving me an extra line on this one. I thought that kind of works. So he's given me the line before the chorus. So let's see how this pans out. I'm actually nervous because it's been a while. I feel like I've got stage fright.
Tim, you can do it. You're a great singer. You're really talented. We all love your songs.
Don't take the piss. I like my earworm more. I might do my earworm first to get in the mood. Let me remember this one. So the earworm a cappella is going to be to Gimme 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 by the mighty ABBA. So, right, how did this go? Let me think. I just thought about this about an hour ago. Right. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man called Okonkwo, plays for the Wrexham. No, I got it wrong. Fucking hell, I got it wrong. Right, I'm going to do it again. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man called Okonkwo, keeps in goal for Wrexham, he's on loan from Arsenal. Gimme, gimme, gimme a man called Okonkwo. Come on, Sean Harvey, give Arteta a call. There you go. That's all right. Liam's thinking twice about that one now.
I think redeemed it at the end. I quite liked the line about Harvey calling Arteta. I don't know. That just worked for me.
Yeah, I cocked it because like my heart's going like the clappers because I'm shitting myself about this Lionel Richie one. It's all gone wrong.
I don't think it's one of your best. I will say that it's not awful. It wasn't awful though.
Yeah, it's better than fucking Tequila. Not that I'm bitter about that song taking off about Arthur in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, right, let's try and work this out quickly. Right, hold on. Let me figure this out. Let the music play on. Right, okay. Everybody sing, everybody dance. We'll build up to it. Lose yourself in wild romance. Round two, Phil Parky, O'Connor, Steve Fletcher, Forever. Come on and sing my song. We're bound to Phil Parky, O'Connor, Steve Fletcher, Forever. Come on and sing my song. Okonkwo, Arthur. Okonkwo, Arthur. Okonkwo, Arthur. Okonkwo, Arthur. There you go.
Andy,
that
thoughts?
Was better than the first one. Much better than the first one. It is 6 minutes of my life I will never get back, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know
well,
whether to.
You can write in and let us know what you think of those songs. You can contact
Email Andy.
Email Andy. Yeah, and that's the new Fearless and Devotion email account because we've been locked out of our official one for the second time in a row.
Plenty of flaccid penis pictures sent to Gilpin, please.
Don't take advantage of my good nature. Like, I'm sitting here sending out free fanzines, and all of a sudden I get.
If you need your
song
drive
idea.
tarmac, in email andrewgilpin@hotmail.com.
I was surprised Fleur Robinson hasn't dropped into your email yet to sort of say, when you were flogging those fearless and devotions on the corner for the game, you were also drinking strong lager, which is
It was
clearly
actually cider. My sources said
it was cider. It was Strongbow, I think. I looked at you when I came on the corner. I was like, "Yeah, you had a few drinks, have you?" And you went, "Yeah, what of it?" I'm like, "Fucking hell!" It's like turning into a wino. And Andy Winehouse.
Sometimes I like to drink on the corner of street.
You do, clearly. I've learned that now.
Anyway,
but I love the fact. Hold on, I love the fact that he got the sign right. He got the Fearless and Devotion sign with all the deals, and he kind of like stuck it at the back behind the empty beer cans or the empty cider cans. And then my mate in the Myers Gwyn said, "Yeah, I saw Andy with his fanzines," and he was a pause. And he went, "Do you want me to make you a proper sign?" I was like, "Yeah, you best, Dad." I think.
What? That's a good sign.
Andy's cardboard signs are great. I think they're wonderful, Andy. Well done you, and well done you for selling those fanzines.
Yeah, I'm the one out there doing it.
Yes.
He drinks on the corner with a cardboard sign. There's a song in there somewhere. We'll come up with that.
Absolutely is. But if you want to hear Tim sing some other Okonkwo songs, then send in your suggestions to Andy's email, andrewgilpin@hotmail.com.
No, don't.
And you three have got to come up with your own by the end of this pod.
All right, I want you to sing
by episode 300, I'll come up with my own.
Well, when he signs, I'll stop.
I've got a suggestion. Go West, King of Wishful Thinking.
Right, we'll have that one. I'll jot that down. Andy and Reese have got to come with their suggestions.
No, I want Nessun Dorma.
Fucking Nessun Dorma. Okay. All right. Reese has got to come with his. They're flying now. They're all off the
I'll give you time. I'll come back on next week. Okay. Right. Time for predictions. Let's move on. MK Dons, Gillingham, Tuesday, Saturday, and then after that we've got another away game on the Tuesday night. So we've got 3 away games in 7 days, I believe. It's a tough run, but let's just do those first 2. Liam, why don't I start with you? MK Dons and Gillingham. What's your predictions?
I think this win's gone to my head because I'm feeling a bit optimistic. Go 1-1 at MK Dons, tight, testy affair, and 2-0 away win at Gillingham. I've lost my head.
Love it. I'll join you. I'll go now. I'll join you with the MK Dons. I think we'll draw. I'm going to say 2-2. And then I'm going to put us down for a draw down in Gillingham, which will be a 1-1. Andy?
I really thought a draw at MK Dons. I don't want to be the same as everyone else. I think you're right. Dons are flying. Mike Williamson's the manager. He did really well at Gateshead, and he seems to have galvanised that club. We do owe them after that 5-3. I'd still love a draw, so I'm going to go 1 each there. I just feel that we could sneak something at Gillingham, but there's a lot of long away trips to different parts of the country over the next week. So I do feel that we are going to lose one of them. No. I'm going to go 2-1 Gillingham. So 1 each and 2-1. 4 points from these two, and I'll be absolutely ecstatic at that.
He'll be ecstatic. Tim?
Be on the corner with his sign, ecstatic. I'm normally not of the mindset where when people go, take a draw. I'm like, nah, go for the win. But I am going with that mindset for Tuesday because a draw there is not shabby in any way, shape, or form. I imagine we'll take a few more than we were perhaps going to after our little lull. So, a new ground for a lot of people. So I'm still expecting probably 12 to 1,500 or whatever they initially give us, and we'll be far off it. So you know what? I think 2 each at Dons. As good as it was to have a clean sheet, we were quite fortunate to have that clean sheet, a bit of good fortune and some good goalkeeping. So I don't think we've ironed out that aspect yet. And I think Gillingham's a weird one. I don't really know what to expect from Gillingham, but I think be typical. We'll go for a draw at Dons and win at Gillingham. We might go the opposite way, but I think Gillingham will sneak that one with a 1-0, go back to a clean sheet there. So then we've got Forest Green next week, but we'll discuss that then. Yeah.
Let's hope for another successful week for Wrexham on the field. Until that point, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And we'll speak to you next week. Bye-bye.
AndrewGilpin.com if you want one of these.
AndrewGilpin.com.
AndrewGilpin@hotmail.com.
All right, stop
Just giving myself an own website. I'm just trying to do a nice thing.
You just need to hit stop recording. Have you stopped recording? Hit stop
Yeah.
recording.